In this video we'll take a quick look at this Canon AE-1 Program 35mm film SLR equipped with the 50mm fast f1.4 lens. This camera was introduced in 1981 and this is a fairly nice example of that, and we will go through all the operations and see how it works. I'm going to turn it on. Now there's a battery in here and the battery tests weak. It beeps like this, but it does not give the signal that it is strong. So it operates the shutter, seems to run it, but it should be replaced. And so I'll leave it with it so you'll have an example of the battery you should go out and buy to replace it with. But let's step down through the shutter speeds. I've already got it cocked, and we'll start at 1/1000th of a second. Then we'll step down to 1/500th, 1/250th, 1/125th, 1/60th, 1/30th, 1/15th, 1/8th, 1/4th, 1/2, 1 second, and this camera has a full 2-second setting, and the bulb setting, which will keep the shutter open and the lens stop down as long as I hold the button. And it's very difficult to see in the video here and even in the photos, but as I do have the lens stopped way down, it does look like there's a little bit of oil on the blades. Now it doesn't seem like it's much of a problem because it seems really quick as I operate the stop down preview, which should kind of simulate how it would work in actual use, but be aware that it does appear to be a little oil on the blades. And so now if we look at the top, that looks pretty good. Here's the switch. Oh, I should test the self-timer as well. So now we'll set that up at another speed. And so here we hear it beeping, counting down. And so we saw that worked. And then this camera features a program mode, and it also allows for aperture or shutter priority, not aperture priority, just shutter priority on this one, or you can use it on manual. And I did verify that lights work in the finder, so you can help get your exposure settings correct. I didn't check it against a known light meter, but it was responding pretty well. If we look at the bottom here, it's got some abrasions from use, no dents or anything from abuse, but it's clearly used, but not severely damaged or anything. If we open up the back, we'll pull up on the rewind lever, and there's the shutter curtain. We'll set this to a longer shutter speed so we can watch this work. The shutter's cocked and should shut that back off, so we don't have to wait for the timer. We see that works smoothly. And the film transport over here is working properly. And if I feel along the edges of the door here, I do feel light seal residue here that has come out of these channels, so that should be replaced. This feels a little sticky, so it's due for some light seal replacement. It would probably be functional as is, but it'd be nice to get this cleaned up and fixed. The pressure plate has a little residue on it too, but it seems structurally sound. The rewind crank works properly, and the ASA or ISO these days can be set here according to, you press this little button and set this to ASA or ISO 200 or whichever film speed you have. Go back around here and take the lens off. We can see that this one has nice clicks on each setting of the aperture. The focus is very smooth. When I look down in there, it looks pretty clean. I don't see contamination or fungus. Looks good from the front here. Looks good from the back, though again here on some of those blades, now it's not going to show up, but I see what looks like oil on those blades, and sometimes that tends to gum up the blades on an iris, but this one really did seem to perform pretty well. I didn't see any slowness. As we lock the lens back on, it does in fact lock. Sometimes there's a problem with these buttons not popping back up, but that's not the case here. The other thing to look at on this camera is the battery door is right behind this little action grip thing. So we can slide that off. The battery doors on these cameras are often broken, but this one is not. The little latch works properly. And here's where the battery goes. Yeah, battery compartment looks clean. I don't see evidence of leaky batteries in there. And this is the little battery that you will need to replace, but I'll leave it in there so you'll have an example of that. Slide the little action grip back in place and tighten down the little screw, and there we are. And this comes with a Canon strap. The rubber is still soft on the neck strap pad, and a Canon lens cap with the same logo, probably from the same time. I don't know if it's always been together, but it certainly is the correct one for this camera. So that's a nice example of the Canon AE-1 program.